SAMUS and the Metroid series as a whole has been going through a renaissance as of late. After nearly 8 years of total silence, the series has made a triumphant return with the release of Metroid Samus Returns on the 3DS and the announcement of the long-awaited Metroid Prime 4 coming to the Switch. This looks to be the year Samus finally makes her comeback. Let's just hope that the same can be said for her moveset in the next Smash Bros, because in my opinion, I feel it leaves a lot to be desired. Sure, her moves do stay true to her roots, but they have gotten increasingly outdated with the advent of brand new characters who almost break the mold of what makes a Smash character. In comparison, Samus is kinda just boring. I mean, you know you messed up when you're outclassed by the Mii Gunner in every conceivable way. And you definitely messed up when you're suddenly way more viable with the suit off. I think it's about time we give Samus the moveset she deserves. A moveset that reflects her status as the greatest intergalactic bounty hunter. So let's talk about how we can redesign Samus Aran for Smash Switch. To start things off, let's discuss what part of her moveset should stay, and in all honesty, there's quite a lot actually. Unlike a lot of the other characters where I've suggested complete overhauls sometimes, Samus really just needs something to help her stand out. As a whole, most of her moves, ranging from her normals, aerials, smash attacks, are all pretty solid and suit her fight style. Other moves include her grab, which incorporate her grapple beam, which has loads of utility, her up special screw attack, which is a classic and is a very powerful special move in its own right, but something I do want changed is the way she moves. While a patch did improve her overall speed, I believe there's still a lot of missed opportunity there. For one, she is ridiculously floaty, and her roll is one of the slowest in the game. We have seen time and time again that Samus is an extremely agile character, capable of pulling off slick maneuvers at a moment's notice. But you wouldn't think that if you saw her in Smash. So I propose that her movement could take after her appearance in Metroid Other M. Sure, the whole premise of the game was kinda bullshit, but goddamn did they nail her movement. She moves with grace, speed, and style. Her force speed doesn't feel like she's jumping on the frickin' moon, but has weight to her that feels like you're in the shoes of a real super soldier. And she's got this sick dodge maneuver that I think would make a great substitute for her current role, at least aesthetically. But bringing our attention back to the modern day, we can also take a few cues from Metroid Samus Returns to get an idea of what a revamped Samus could look like, such as implementing the melee counter for her down special, an upward slash that stops incoming attacks, opening up for a strike. I know we have a lot of counters in Smash, but the melee counter could act a little differently, in that it would execute regardless of whether an attack occurs, and will provide a Samus with an additional hit of armor. Her side special on the other hand, I would love it to be Speed Booster, turning Samus into a human battering ram as she propels herself forward at breakneck speed, eventually stopping after a certain distance. It could also incorporate Shine Spark, where she gains a boosted jump if she jumps at the end of the move. Her neutral special, I would like to propose be changed to a mechanic that allows her to change her beam weapons at will. Sort of like Shulk, who's able to switch between different stances, Samus would be able to switch between different cannons. But the neutral special would be only used to change cannons, not fire them. Taking a page out of Mega Man's moveset, Samus' jab attack and side tilt could now tie to her blaster, allowing her to fire on the spot and while moving. It always bothered me that the only way Samus could fire her blaster in Smash was if she stayed rooted in one spot, when right down to the days of the original Super Metroid she's always been known to be able to move whilst firing, so this allows her to do so. Except her beams will have way more range and utility than Mega Man's Mega Buster, and she'd have the additional ability to switch between different beams. So by default, the first projectile would be the classic Power Beam and Charge Beam combo. Standard range of shots that you see right now in Smash that can be charged up for additional damage and knockback, except charging would involve holding down the A button as opposed to holding down the B button. Her second projectile would be the Super Missile, which would fire at a much slower rate but carry some devastating power. The third projectile in her arsenal could be Wave Beam, which would fire at a much faster rate than the other projectiles but won't cause flinching like Fox's Blaster or Bayonetta's guns. And Ice Beam for her fourth projectile, which would deal the least damage of the bunch but has a chance of freezing. To add to these new abilities, we also could have the inclusion of AEION abilities, in the form of a gauge near Samus' profile that increases with each damage taken or dealt, sorta like Little Mac. And when filled, Samus will gain access to 3 unique AEION abilities that she can use for a limited time. They would also be tied to a neutral special which will activate upon reaching a full meter and disappear back to a normal beam change mechanic after making a selection. The AEION powers in question would include Beam Burst, which temporarily increases the firepower of all beam type weapons, lightning armor, which dramatically boosts her defense, and phase drift, which in Smash could give her melee counter the witch time effect by slowing down time, giving Bayonetta for once a run for her money. Now you might have noticed that in replacing the down special with melee counter, I've completely omitted the Morph Ball, which is a staple in Samus' moveset. But don't worry, I think I've thought of a compromise. Why not make Morph Ball its own state, which can be activated by double tapping the crouch button? In this form, she'd be able to roll around freely and gain access to exclusive special moves tied only to this form, basically giving her 8 different total special moves. So in Morph Ball form, her neutral special allows her to plant bombs as she rolls around. She'd be able to plant 3 bombs at a time for light damage. Her side special could be Boost Ball, where she boosts forward in her ball form, capable of dealing minor damage for anybody in her path. Spring Ball can be implemented for her up special, giving her some verticality and the ability to plant bombs while in the air. And last but certainly not least, have her down special become Spider Ball, letting her traverse angled terrain whilst dealing physical damage for anybody who comes in contact, turning Samus into easily the most annoying edgeguarder of all time. Naturally, you wouldn't be totally invulnerable in this state, and I'd imagine a single hard hit would knock Samus right out of it. All this does is give her more options and adds to her movement capability. And honestly, out of all the ideas I've suggested right now, I think Morph Ball has the most potential, because it'll make her so different as a character. But, you know, that's my moveset for Samus, so what's yours? I want to hear what you have to say in the comments below. E3 isn't too far away now, so I'm sure we'll see how different this new Smash game is, and whether any of the characters I've talked about has been changed at all, which if you haven't seen already, I definitely recommend you check out. But for now, hit that like button, subscribe, support my work on Patreon if you like, and I will see you in the next one.